you want to wait for Roger?
Huh? Okay, hi guys. Well, let's see. We are continuing with another version 14 design review. This is the third round of our sound and vision design. So let's get started here. All
Do you
right.
have your
So
documentation updated as well recently?
how recently? Last hour?
I 2 hour last hour, 2 hours.
Let's do it again. Okay. Okay. So, hmm. So this is this whole question about whether we should return a label matrix or whether we should do other things here.
Yes.
And image cases, uh, okay.
Open the page for image cases once your docs are updated. I think those examples I've added are convincing, and I agree, very useful cases for segmented images.
Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Hmm. I mean, it's pretty opaque doing this. I mean, clearly, just masked image on its own should give this result, not all
Um, if
image.
if you agree, I think we should come back to this property specification consistency, maybe in an LCC meeting. I had a section on that in the design review notebook, but I think we have more than 1 hour between me and Charles. I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. We should simplify it, but there is some inconsistency between functions as well.
Yeah, but I mean, for right now, the fact that we're able to carve out the puppy, so to speak, is
Hmm.
really important.
Yep,
And we don't want to hide that behind a totally obscure set of options.
true. I'm I'm okay to update this one function to get the shortcut syntax, but I rather prefer we look at all the functions that take property specification.
Right, okay. So what this image actually is, that cat, that dog is it's an image that's a rectangular image, but it has what? It has an alpha channel. It
Yep,
has
do
the
color separate on it.
well, okay, or I could just do okay. Okay. The silhouette of the dog.
Hmm. And then if you scroll down in image
Wait. What does
cases,
it do here? What happened here? So this was
The fourth channel is the alpha.
no, I
mhm,
understand that, but why do these other ones show background here?
because
It's
they still have the background.
red, green, and blue.
So I don't understand why the alpha channel being
You,
zero
you're
opacity,
thinking, you're
why
thinking
didn't it
maybe we
turn black?
can
Why
multiply
didn't
it
yeah,
so
why
that
didn't
it
it turn
kills that
black?
data.
No, I don't understand. Why is it white behind the dog rather than black behind the dog?
Because why is the alpha channel white when the dog exists?
No,
No, I'm
no
Because
saying
intensity, zero
no,
intensity.
I'm saying here, why is this background? I would have thought that when you have an alpha channel that says go to zero opacity. Oh, I see. Zero
you
opacity. That's
you
what's
see the
happening.
white background of the notebook.
Yeah,
If
okay.
Yeah,
So it's going to zero opacity is the basic point.
yes, yes,
So if I go to this and I say edge detect this puppy, and I mean puppy literally, beautiful. Okay. And it's not somehow picking up background. It's really doing it, taking account of the alpha channel, and everything will do that. Is that correct?
I feel lucky that Edge Detect did this. I feel like we still have to make sure alpha channel handling is correctly doing this operation in every function.
Okay. All right.
That's
Okay.
one of those other LCC things on my list
Well, it seems
that I
like
haven't
more an
got to.
implementation issue, not.
Yep. Yeah, right.
I
This
mean, I
is
can't imagine
like
you not going to.
not consistent design, consistent implementation.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
what's the
then
question here? Yeah.
there was a discussion last time about property criteria format. Do we want to add those to image components? And when I looked at it more closely, if we return a label matrix for image components, 1 argument and 2 argument, then all of a sudden property and those other arguments require that we return something like that. 1 goes to value 1, 2 goes to value 2. So the structure of the output changes significantly.
Sorry, if what happens?
If we
If
add the property argument to image components itself, not to image cases, then all of a sudden we have to go from a label matrix to that list of rules.
well, I mean, if we give, something we've done quite often in recent times, is if there's a property that's different, the structure of the output could be different.
Um, okay.
I really don't think
The
that's a
the
huge
other
problem.
thing the other thing I couldn't figure out right away is that what is a label matrix? What's that default output that we have? It didn't quite fit into any property or format of any sort.
Well, we just call it label matrix. I mean, quotes label matrix.
Label matrix, the property.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know. What other things do we have that return, or manipulate label matrices?
What other functions?
Yeah.
Select component, delete components, or delete border components. Those are the ones that manipulate label
And
matrices.
highlight my image.
That
What
uses
does
it,
it do?
right?
Well, so what does delete components do?
Delete border components, deletes components that are adjacent to the border of the image. Delete small components, automatically finds a size threshold,
Yeah.
deletes the smaller
Oh, right.
components.
I know. I mean, but I'm trying to remember, but that just does it. Yeah, I mean, it's just doing directly on the image. Forget that the label matrix is somewhere deep inside.
Could accept a label matrix as well. For binary images, we compute connected components. But for something like SAM, we'll have to compute the connected components.
I don't understand. I'm sorry. This is an image-to-image function.
That's an image to image or label matrix to label matrix. We should have examples. Yeah, that third basic example.
Okay, great. And I see. So on a pure, okay, so what's your point now? So image components doesn't sound like something you apply to a label matrix. You could presumably apply it to a label matrix if you wanted to. Why not?
What
It's
would
a
it do?
segmentation. Well, it's a segmentation thing.
To a label, but the label
Well, let's
matrix
say
is
the
already
label
a
matrix is just
segmentation.
ones and zeros. It's just a black and white image. And I'm kind of making this up, but you could, let's say it's a piece of typography, and it's either black or white, and it's like 3 letters written out. Couldn't image components on the label matrix then turn those 3 separate components that are all just ones initially something different? I don't know. That's not a very good idea. Never mind. That's a bad idea. I just don't really like the name image components for that function. I think it should be called, image label matrix or something. Image. I mean, I just think if it's really giving a label matrix, it's a much more specific thing And it's not really an image-to-image operation, which is what I would expect if it's called image blah. Do you
The
see what I'm
other
saying?
segmentation functions that return a label matrix are ending with the word components.
Like what?
I'm like watershed components, clustering components.
Yeah, well, they're not our finest hours. I mean, if it was image segmentation components or something, I'd be more, happier with it. It's a more technical function. That's the point. This is not a function that is an immediate use consumer function. It's a function that's part of an image processing pipeline. I like image segmentation components. Comments on it. It's more technical sounding, and it is more technical.
It's pretty long,
So what?
but yeah. Roger?
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
Tells you what it means.
Right. Otherwise, what the hell is the, I mean, and by ending it with components, you're saying the convention is that returns a label matrix. So then that's what it's going to do.
Uh-huh.
And potentially we could have an image segmentation that does something different and has more of these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now that we are here, so we talked about image cases, image contents. I think we like that. The one question there is that now we have an object detector as well as an object segmentation method. And in fact, just recently, we released YOLO V8 for segmenting objects. And I was wondering if you look at that image cases notebook in the middle, I was wondering some kind of a method goes to a detection method, segmentation method would make sense going forward.
I don't understand. What difference does it make to the person who's picking out the puppy?
Well, it's different backends, different methods. Do you want to segment using SAM or do you want to segment using the same
I
YOLO
just want the
V8?
puppy. How do I get the puppy? I don't care. It's up to us to figure out whether we SAM it or YOLO it
Or
or
YOLO
whatever.
it? No
Right.
method you want to be exposed?
Well, we can expose a method, but I don't rely on that method. I mean, we've got to do it the best way we can.
Sure,
It's
of
our
course.
responsibility to figure out how to do it.
The default will do the best, but I'm asking if we want to expose the method.
I don't
Should
see
I?
why not. I don't see
Okay.
why not.
Should we do it as sub options of method, like an
Why is there a
association
sub
of
option?
methods?
Why is it a sub option?
Because there's two of them. The detection that gives us the bounding box could use different methods than the segmentation that gives us the mask.
Well, then you've got to give an association. Then you've got to
Okay.
say method arrow associate, segmentation method and
Like
Sure.
she's done it there. Yeah.
what's that?
That's on the screen in
tentative
front
cell.
of you.
Oh, that's exactly what you already did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, great.
All right.
Image component detect is a function that returns a mask for the whole image. It's effectively the alpha channel of remove background, as I say there.
Well, it now has to be image segmentation component detect, which is a bit long. But
if you open that ref page, some other name proposals we had, like image component mask. Do we want to call it image segmentation mask?
yes,
Image
yes.
segment detect or segment mask?
Image segment detect.
Semantic you ruled out last time correctly, so I forgot to remove that as an alternative. Image segment mask I like. Yeah.
Image segmentation mask.
Yeah.
But I mean, do we have other functions that sort of do a whole image masking like this?
Image saliency filter the filter functions that we have are doing a whole image filtering. They mostly end with filter, and saliency is the only one that gives a big region. The other ones are edges.
Image segmentation filter doesn't sound totally crazy to me. What is marker? What does marker mean here? Specify by marker.
Marker can be a point on the white horse, or could be a bounding box, a rectangle around the horse, or could be multiple points on the white horse and the brown horse.
So wait a minute. So then I would get both a white and a brown.
Yeah, yeah, a mask for both of those objects, yes. One mask that represents both of those objects.
Okay, but then this really is a filter, because what it's doing is, you know, I mean, it's a little bit weird because I could imagine something which just says, give me a horse. And it would give me a mask for the whole image, which just picks out a horse. But this is doing something different. This is saying you're giving it a place in the image, and it's puffing out to the object that is so indicated. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's a really different kind of thing. And that's not, image segmentation components is just like, give me all the various components, right?
Correct.
So this is really a different thing. This is an image, it's an object filter, so to speak.
Yeah. Segment filter, object filter. Segment filter, because really we don't have a notion of objects in these segmentation. These are semantically, as you identified, they're really not necessarily connected.
No, I mean, I don't know. This seems like a pretty technical function.
Yeah, as I say in that last bullet point, I think like functions like inpaint could use it. So you may want to identify the region first and then pass it to inpaint. We have functions that take masking options. Like you have an image with uneven illumination, you want to mask.
You could imagine that second argument could be horse.
Yes, the prompting is not ready for 14, but we're definitely, yeah, it's in that table.
Right, so if that's the case, if we can put a horse there as well as a position, I think image segmentation filter is okay.
Okay.
Roger?
Yeah, sounds good. Why do you want to call it filter instead of mask?
Because we've got other things that are called filter, which do this exact operation, do they not?
Yeah, image saliency filter is really similar.
Yeah, except that it has a gray level.
And I think it's fine. I think image segmentation filter could also return with some other methods. There are very many image matting methods that return a grayscale. And filter is, in fact, a more proper name for that function.
Okay.
Masks are usually binary.
Yes.
All right.
So the question here, we're injecting SAM into remove background. In remove background, we don't have methods, we have models. The question is that this SAM-based segmentation, what should it be called? What model should it be called? Initially, I named it semantic. All of these tables are, it might be easier if you go to that remove background new that is linked from the top of the notes, because that's a more cleaned up version of it.
Where?
Sorry, the top of the notes of remove background notebook that was.
Well, I mean, can I just go?
Just, yeah. So see those string models like blurred and bright and dark. Now I added semantic and semantic with some parameters.
Ugh.
Which is the wrong term, I know.
Just crazy. I mean,
and it's wrong for SAM-based methods anyways. But what do I call it? Just SAM?
Hold on.
Segment?
Criteria for separating foreground and background are. What does this mean? Blurred region.
So we could say, give me the background that is blurred, give me a background that is bright, give me the background or foreground that's salient.
Well, the background is not salient. Give me the foreground. Remove background is give me only what's salient. So
See the first table, we have spec for both foreground and background. And depending on images, it's sometimes easier to specify foreground characteristics. And sometimes it's easier to specify background characteristics.
well, then why don't you have a thing called unsalient?
Okay. Well, the syntax supports for both, and it's really a one minus the other one, whatever is computed.
Well, I understand, but I mean, we need to, given that you're doing this and you have bright and dark, you surely should have salient and unsalient.
Uh-huh, sure, I can add that.
Okay, so this, I mean, this is really an object-based thing, isn't it? This
It's a
thing
bit
here, you're
mysterious what
segmenting.
SAM is.
What's that?
It's
It's a
with
bit
the
mysterious what
parameters,
SAM is.
right? With the parameters, again, we can say let's call this model SAM for the time being.
What
We
does it
can
stand for?
say
What does SAM stand for?
segment anything model.
I've said that before. Yeah. Let's see, there's a question on a live stream from Sandra. What happens if it is semi-transparent? I'm lost what it is, unfortunately.
I think this came when we were talking about alpha channel of sub-images in image cases.
Yes.
So if we get segmentation methods that give us grayscale masks, we see through that mask some of the background. And
But maybe what Sandra is talking about is what if the image that you're trying to segment out is itself semi-transparent? Does it get tangled up? I don't think so, because if the mask is either it's all there or it's not there.
for remove background, we're multiplying the
I'm not going,
detected
yeah.
background with the original. So we're usually trying not to look at anything in the masked area. The alpha channel is already masking the image.
Okay. In terms of bright, dark, whatever, I feel like it's almost on object, off object. Where is the background? Where is the foreground? It's on this object. But I don't know. I mean,
Also look at the parameters that I suggest that
I know,
model can
yeah.
take, which can be position, prompts again like horse, rectangles and stuff. Yeah. Objectness or
Well, I don't know. I
segment
mean,
again.
I don't know because I also don't like particularly this list, and I think I also think that foreground background thing is sort of wrong, and I think it should be more foreground arrow whatever. And can you have both foreground and background?
We
Classified.
had the idea that we could have both of them. We never implemented that.
But
They
to me,
could
it would
run
be
into each
better
other as well.
syntax to say, foreground arrow, background arrow, and even in an association, for example.
I think that's a syntax we can easily support. It doesn't clash with what we have now.
Yeah, I mean,
Implementation wise, if we specify characteristics for both of them, they may run into each other, and then we'll have
sure.
to come up with heuristics how to.
Yeah, but okay, but with this SAM-based thing, just generic SAM means if it's an object, make it foreground,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what it's basically saying.
Yes.
I mean, so I think it's objects versus non-objects. That's the background is non-objects. And then it has to be objects, comma. I mean, do we have any other term for the things that are being recognized in image cases, for example, other than objects like horses and things?
In image cases, it's really mainly referred to as object detection.
Okay, fine. So I would say objects and non-objects.
And then non-salient and non-objects, you would camel case with O and S being big.
Yeah.
Capital. Okay. It's fine. Seems fine to me.
Okay. And I mean, for now, I guess these list syntaxes are okay.
Okay.
Not my total favorite, but okay. Okay.
I think we liked this last time, so no
Yeah.
no news here.
Oh. My mouse keeps on dying. Terrible. Okay.
The fact that fine image shapes can accept label matrices, that first point. Also, I think we talked about, we'll try to get it into 14. And I think image segmentation components is gonna be a very good label matrix for that purpose. The other thing we talked about was that sort of a automatic pre-processing. And then with Roger, we thought perhaps a good name for such an option could be pre-processing function. We already have pre-processing rules that we use in word cloud. Seems like a good
Yeah.
companion
I
for
mean,
that.
gosh, don't we have things like pre-processing functions and a bunch of machine learning stuff?
I even if we do, it's not a symbol. And Julio confirmed that we can use that option in many other places as well.
Then let's have it. It's a good idea.
Okay. Edge detect with segment anything method edges. I'm suggesting we just come back to it at least post 14. Really, most of the time, edge detection is used for segmentation or maybe for like creative effects and things like that. And it seems a little besides the point to convert the segmentation to edges at that point. So we'll postpone that. If we find usefulness for it, we'll bring it back later.
Okay.
Similar question in text recognize as I had it for image cases. There as well, we have a text detector versus text recognizer. So in a method option, if you scroll down a little past everything, I guess we could have a similar association of detector backends and recognizer backends.
I mean,
And
method,
I
right?
Are we really going to have these named?
that was my second question. It doesn't look pretty because these are really the backend engines that we use. But how else can we be specific?
I wouldn't call it operating system. I would call it native or something.
Native, okay.
Or OS native, something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure because I don't even know what that. So what happens if you just give one method option, method arrow?
I think we can easily support that. So if we say for things like easy OCR, which are supported both, which are doing both detection and recognition, it can just be that one string. But for other combinations, we can also just pick the other one automatically.
Yeah, but I mean in okay. But so what's the default?
the best we can find for natural scene documents or images, we are using DBNet as a detector and our own trained recognizer, Wolfram OCR V1. And then for documents, we are still using Tesseract, but with benchmarks we're doing with those easy OCR, I think we can switch to that. But
Okay.
I'm still waiting on full benchmark results.
Okay. Label matrix workflows.
Yeah, that's something that Roger asked me to put together just for us to see when label matrices become annoying to work with. And it's really that very long edge on the right that has bugged you. When we want to combine the result of, so we segment, get label matrix, we can do measurements on it, display it, and all of that. It only gets annoying when you want to do some measurements or selection where you need both the label matrix and the image.
And how do we fix that?
Annotations, I think, can help.
Yeah.
And that's something we're going to be working on post 14.
Where basically the label matrix is just an overlay on the image.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, I think
Okay.
label matrices, honestly, label matrices seem to me like Fortran-like constructs. You know, and they really should be something that is just a metadata of the image.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we ready to go on to the next segment, talking segmentation? Charles, did you send me the next segment? Hello, Charles.
Sorry, I was on mute. You mean the notebook? I thought it was in the agenda. Okay, I'm sending it right now.
I think it is in the agenda.
Okay, I can get it there, but easier if you sent it. When are we going to get coarse graining of graphs for display?
For big graphs, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, we've done some preliminary experiments. I don't think we have something conclusive yet.
Maybe you could share those with some of the people who are working on the physics project, because we need that stuff and we can build some prototypes. Make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are many ways to do it, and we might as well experiment with things, but make some WFRs, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Charles?
Okay. Charles, can you handle that?
Sure. I mean, it seems to be too general, but sure.
No, I just whatever you have. I mean, it's like we've got, there's a whole big hypergraph effort that's being done, and hypergraph visualization and so on. And I think that effort should be able to deal with coarse graining of graphs. And whatever you have, I'd like to get those guys to work with, given that you're not pushing that forward, this month type thing, and see what they can produce.
Right.
Okay?
I mean, yes. And I mean, we have a significant amount actually already in the system doing the spring electrical. I mean, that's what it does actually behind the scene.
Great.
But
Okay.
it's just...
You just need to explain what you've done. Okay. And then we'll see whether people can take it further, even when you're not specifically working on this. All right. Okay. Now, what do we want to look at here? The hyperbolic embedding wasn't working last time.
Yes, and it's still not working. There are some defects I'm still working on to try to figure out why it's happening.
Okay. All right. So what should we look at? Guide us through this agenda, please.
Well, from the last... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Charles.
I mean, from the last meeting, we went through everything. You just pointed out, if I remember correctly, the hyperbolic embedding you wanted to understand more, as well as the spherical texture mapping. think those were the two key points.
Okay, all right, okay. So let's look at those. I mean, just guide me through what we need to do. I mean, this is your. Okay, so Roger or Charles, just tell me what we need to be looking at.
Yeah, so you wanted to understand more about sort of these. So if you go to the texture new page, and these are standard texture mappings. It's not the end of texture mapping, but these are standard texture mappings. And what's new is both the support for primitives that don't have vertex texture coordinates.
Okay, hold on. So let me try to understand this. So a texture is generally given as a rectangular region with pixels in it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that rectangular region is a UV space of some kind.
Yes.
And you've got to map that onto the surface of an object.
Yes.
Which is a story of coordinate charts and other such adventures.
Yes.
Okay, so now the question is, what are those coordinate charts? What is, given, so these parameters, assume that the parameters u and v vary. What do you assume, from 0 to 1, from bottom left to top right type thing?
Yes.
Sorry, hello? Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So part of what we wanted to improve is the documentation here, maybe to explain, and maybe in some cases provide parameters. So what we had before,
this has 6 coordinate chart. The coordinate chart is broken into 6 pieces in this case.
it's reused 6 times.
Right. Whereas in this case, there's a single chart.
Yes.
And
in, maybe that doesn't, maybe the illustration is not the greatest, but the cubic, it's reused also 6 times, but they're sort of, the question is how flipped they are.
Yep, I understand. I think that the way to indicate flipping would be to draw the pad underneath with somehow an arrow going the other way, or alternatively to not use something which is symmetrical as the image.
Right.
I mean, if you put an arrow on the image, inside the image, that might be helpful, even if it's only in those cases of the box and the cubic case.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I think I do understand this, and this is pretty nice. And I understand that if you have a thing that's the shape of if you're mapping onto a dodecahedron, for example, I don't know which of these you use. I mean, what happens if I do that? If I take this, oh Christ, my mouse died.
You can do that, yeah.
How do I get that thing there? Oops, there. Oh, I see. Why can't I see it? Why can't I see it?
Well, that is an image, obviously, just copy it.
Yeah, I know, but why can't I? Oh, because it just, those colors are just interact badly. Okay, so there it is. And so now let me say, so now I want to put this on a dodecahedron. So I say graphics 3D of texture of blah, comma,
the mapping.
the map. So let's say I say stereographic.
The mapping is not yet supported at this time in the prototype build. Correct, Yusuf, right?
Right.
Well, so how do I do this?
So if you close the bracket and then you put the dodecahedron, and right now you do vertex texture coordinate goes to the mapping.
Where?
No, as an option in dodecahedron.
Arrow. Oops. Well, let's start off with the stereographic.
But it's not there. That's not one on the list.
Well, so that's why I say if
It's right
If
there.
we use the, if we use,
but it's not on the table.
but everything is not yet implemented, so we are still working on those. So don't
Okay.
expect that it will work, or we have support of those additional options on the tetrahedron. So
It's amazingly worked, but you misspelled it.
Well, I don't know what the hell it's doing. Stereographic, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know what texture it's using. It's using some random texture map here. Let's try, for example, cylindrical. Unless nothing works. I don't understand that picture. I don't understand that. I mean, it's amusing, but I don't understand it.
It looks like planar, maybe, if I were to guess from the. That does look like box.
I mean, the cylindrical is correct. It's just that it's a cylinder. So the projection, as you see that it's peaking on the top.
Oh,
what do you mean? Where's the cylinder? Is the cylinder, which way is the dodecahedron wrapped in a cylinder? Looks like it's wrapped horizontally in the cylinder. And that this is kind of its north pole that gets funky. I don't understand why the cylinder comes up to triangular points at the North Pole. If I go cubic here, I suspect I'll get the same as box, won't I? Yeah. Okay. So those are, if I look at that face, it's deformed by the projection, by the fact that it is a projected onto the non-flat dodecahedron face from the rectilinear box, correct?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what planar does. Let's try that. Okay, I don't understand that one. What's that doing?
It looks like it's projecting from the top down.
Yeah, but for some reason it's transparent in the middle because it goes. Okay, so for example, if I were to project that onto a cube, then the edges of the cube would have, yeah, good, great. That's nice. Yeah, that's what I would expect.
Try a cylinder for that guy, because I'm unrotate it too. Just because I didn't know what you did with it. That's weird. Wonder which way
it got coarser. I mean, because the cylinder.
Which way is the cylinder put?
Yeah, I know it's not pointing this way. It's wrapping the other way.
Right.
It's wrapping not around the equator, but around the meridian.
Yeah. Or maybe it's a much simpler explanation. Maybe it wasn't even doing that. It was not implemented yet, so it just picked planar or something. Yusu's here. Which
so Yusu, what's the story with this?
Might be just a bug.
Okay. Well, you got some test cases here. Oh boy, that's weird. Okay, I don't understand that at all.
The computing based on that the shape is a spherical object, and if it is not, it's trying to warp a little bit.
I know, I understand that. But I don't understand the warping. I mean, that warping is rather extreme. So let's say we go with a
well, try a spherical. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it doesn't have vertices.
Add 0, 0, 0, 0.
Oh yeah. Maybe come on 1. Just yeah. Okay, that sort of looks spherical.
I shouldn't need those. That's a bug, right? That I needed those. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's not yet fully implemented. Yep, should just work.
But that looked like spherical. to me. A little bit weird there at the top. What's that?
Yeah, the bottom's okay.
Yeah.
Top.
Yeah, the top is fixed. It's just not picked up yet.
Try cylindrical on that guy, because I think that one can predict from that. It's doing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I would have expected, but it didn't work for the So just so I understand, how do I take a dodecahedron and augment it to just give it many more faces? How do I sphericalize it? You know what I'm saying? Augmented, what is that called? Polyhedron, augmented polyhedron or something? What is that called?
Yeah, we have the augmented polyhedron.
It's not subdividing. Is that subdividing faces?
Yes, some form.
Let's say we take this and, well, let's just do the spherical case. Because that should approximate a sphere. Am I right? So then here, I want to do this. Oh, that's bad. How do I do this? That shouldn't be that way. That should work, right?
Yes, we are still propagating the support on all graphic primitives as well as constructor. So you see.
All right, okay. All right, well, what else is there for us to look at here?
I think that this was the
That's
main
all.
thing. Or did I forget something, Charles?
No, that was just the main thing.
Yeah. I think that the texture thing was where we got hung up.
Okay,
And it's
well, I think
unfortunately
that
not
looks quite
fully.
nice. I think what you're doing there looks nice. I mean, there's some bugs, but it looks like a really nice concept, really useful. And cool, and lots of nice examples that can be given from it.
Yeah.
Actually, let me just try one more thing. Let me just try so I understand what's happening. If I go to front here, I don't really know why the front is the top.
That's got to be a bug. It's just got to be a bug.
Font
Because
is
that's,
not implemented yet.
oh. So
What?
front does planar or something. It didn't do it. Just is what you said.
Okay, but still, the orientation is somewhat funky, or whatever. I mean, I do think that this question about which way is up, all of these things have a which way is up definition.
Yes.
And it feels a little bit arbitrary. But I guess it sort of has to be, but once I have the, which way is up in what coordinate system? So I'm saying, let's say the cylindrical is up in the z direction. Whose z direction? Is it user coordinates or what the heck is it? Do you understand my question?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be in the global coordinate system for sure.
Which is user coordinates, not screen coordinates or anything like that.
Yes, yes.
So this sphere, if I turn the sphere upside down by modifying this,
up is still the same. I mean, it has to be the same.
Yeah, I understand, because it's in user coordinates.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to add that actually most of them should, in principle, or will coincide with our coordinate transform, right? Because it's more coordinate transformation between two different systems.
What do you mean by that?
That means, for example, if you do coordinate transform of Cartesian goes to cylindrical, right? And you actually compute manually the vector tensor coordinate. You should match. Right? So there is an explicit transform. It's not a hand waving operation. That's what I mean.
Sorry, I was spaced out for a minute. Could you repeat that?
So I mean, as we are working with, through this, the transformation or the projection here, in principle, will match with coordinate transformation. I think that's the name of the function we have here, coordinate transform.
Yeah.
So for example, if you do coordinate transform of Cartesian goes to cylindrical,
yes,
you should get the actual formula which will map with.
Yes, I agree.
What's happening here.
So presumably any of the coordinate systems provided there would be a possible mapping.
In
right?
principle, yes.
I don't see why we shouldn't do that. I mean, it should be easy to do, right? Once you have these, flowing through those, what is it? Dollar coordinate systems? What is it called? How do we get?
I was talking about coordinate the list. I'm not sure.
Oh, come on. How do we get to this? Let's see whether our vaunted search system actually works.
It's coordinate chart data, I believe.
Okay, can somebody please report this as yet another bad search result?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yet another. Okay. Well, any one of these should be usable. I don't see why not. I mean, it seems like we get it for free if we're just using this technology stack.
But well, the question is it really useful for graphics, and there is a cost to implement it too?
Is there? I mean, I would assume that you're just going through this pipeline.
It's going on the GPU, Stephen.
I see. I have no idea. Conical might be useful. I don't know. I mean, we don't have an automatic. I mean, these formulas are not that complicated. I mean, don't we have an automatic way to compile them for the GPU?
We can look into this for the next version, definitely.
Yeah, okay. I mean, given that you're saying it works just like coordinate transforms, let's have it follow coordinate transforms, so to speak.
Yep, we are working on that to make sure they match.
Yeah. But looks nice. All right, anything else we need to cover?
Nope. That's it.
Good. All right. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Is that it for your teams, Roger?
Yep, that's it. That concludes 14.
Good stuff. All right. See you all
Okay.
soon.
See you then.